Yeah, I'm happy you have Wi-Fi too. Welcome back to Ram and Goat Astrology. We missed you all. We missed a week because of a couple things. Helena, where are you?
I'm in Mexico, so I'm
Woohoo!
traveling. Yes, I'm on the
You're
road.
traveling. And then my family got hit with the flu.
Mm.
Influenza A. I found that out because I had to go in to urgent care. I think it was 7 days in. I was just not recovering fully because of nursing and taking care of the sick kids. So I went in and got fluids, IV fluids. And boy, does that make a difference. Holy
Mm.
moly. It felt like my ball was deflated before that, like my physical, energetic ball. And then after I got fluids, it's like someone pumped me up. Not all the way, like don't play with the ball yet, right? Don't bounce it. But it at least looks like a ball
Yeah.
now. So
Oh,
I ended up getting tested then, and they said it was influenza A. And they wanted to make sure I didn't have pneumonia as well, because that's what it's
oh,
been doing, is transferring from the flu into pneumonia. So I got a chest x-ray and that was all good. But now everybody in the house is coughing. So, oh
mm.
well, we're at least, we're at least getting over it.
Yeah, it's crazy in Sweden too. Like everyone has been sick. I was sick over
Yeah.
Christmas and with some kind of influenza. Maybe it was the same
Yeah.
influenza A or something. Yeah. And I feel like I'm still like this was a month ago nearly, and I'm still sort of my body is not balanced out yet from that.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. It wasn't like a real like pukey flu, right? Where you vomited a lot. Like I think I did twice, and then one or two of my kids did, but uh it was more like deep in the muscle tissue, right?
Mm.
Like really deep in the muscles, and then it would be a fever for a little while, and then the fever go away, and then a fever for a while,
Mm.
and then it go away. And but it lasted days. And
Yeah.
we use oils and supplements like crazy, and I don't think I've been hit like that for 20 years, honestly. It's easily been 20 years. So I'm grateful for my immune system, and it forced me to really just be with myself, man, right? You just gotta be. There's nothing you can
That's
do.
it. That's it. Like when it happened, I was like, okay, universe, I'm listening now. I'm not gonna do anything. I won't do
Yeah,
anything, I promise. I'm just gonna sit here and recover, okay?
yeah, yeah,
There's nothing, there's no fighting it. I mean, yeah, I was just like, okay, I let go.
yeah.
Do whatever you want with me, sort of.
You have to. I think Gertie and I got hit the same day, and when it came on, we were fine Saturday morning. We were walking around, everything was good. I remember her and I having tea together, and then around 11 a.m., both of us looked at each other and we're like, I don't think I'm okay. She's like, I don't
Mm.
feel good. And it felt like a train just blew through our immune system out of nowhere. And within hours, we were both shaking with chills, and like our muscles were getting stiff. And I kept stretching, and I was like, oh no, this is a bad one. I can feel it.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's same. Like I haven't been this bad for not 20 years, but years and years and years. But I also feel like when you do sit there and there's nothing you can do and you just let go, there's a lot of thinking
Yes.
that's done, and it's needed. And I guess that's also sort of what you need to do. You need to like, okay, be still now.
Yeah.
You need to be still and have these thoughts and process these emotions, and yeah, it's needed.
It was so tough, especially
Ooh.
nursing the babies, because right when I was starting to feel better, they were going downhill. And I was like the 2-year-old and the 9-month-old, I was nursing both of them like constantly. And then, of course, as luck would have it, we got hit with a sleep regression with the baby. So a sleep regression is when their normal sleep cycle gets really disturbed for like anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks, and they wake up a lot. And a lot
Mm.
of parents don't know about them until you know about them. And then you're like, oh, and around 8 to 9 months is when their prefrontal cortex develops big time, and they are just in FOMO, right? They got fear of missing out, and they're so interested in everything and everyone, and they're moving a lot
Oh,
more, and they're pulling themselves up, and working on steps or crawling, and there's just so much activity in their brain. and they can't shut it off. It's almost like baby insomnia.
Mm.
And the only way he would sleep was on my chest and for about 40 minutes to an hour and a half at a time. So we were waking. We weren't even sleeping, right? There was no sleep. It was just waking. Like, that's all it was. And it was easily 10 plus times a night with him or the toddler or the teenager or the, or mama, because I'm sweating in and now I'm cold and now it was the most miserablest experience this past week. And you just have to freaking surrender. There's nothing, nothing.
No.
We're oiling, we're supplementing, we're doing all the things, the baths, the whatever, but still you're just like stuck in your head. And there was a point where the sleep that was what was really killing us really fast, right? And I remember like holding my head in my bed, and Philip was there and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, there are voices that are not okay up here, right? Like I was getting scared of like the dark stuff that was starting to come to the surface, right? Like when you look at the ocean and explorers show you the weird creatures at the real deep part, right? And you're like, that can't be a thing. That's freaky, right? That can't be that's not a creature that exists. Is it? Really? What? That's what I was feeling like. I was feeling like there were really, really dark, nasty voices coming up to the surface. And they were freaking me out. Like they were just freaking me out. I can't even tell you what they were right now because it was such a like a Twilight Zone kind of space. But man, it was like facing these real dark parts of me. And I'm thinking, as I'm laying there, fucking Scorpio. This is where my brain goes to astrology, of course, but I was trying to understand it. I have Scorpio in my 6th house of health, and I go real dark and real deep when I am not well, like real dark. And Jupiter's there, so Jupiter's real big. I feel like when I get sick, sometimes I get in this weird little like psychological submarine and go down into the depths of the human psyche. And it only goes there when I'm really ill. But man, I don't like exploring that zone. I prefer the air.
I recognize this. Like I always or like when I get sick, when I get like fever sick, I go dark places as well. And I think it's because you're very like stuck in your body and you're having this feverish, you're almost like tripping a little bit. But it's sort of like something like your body taking you on a journey. And when you say 6th house, I'm like, oh, what do I have in my 6th house? I have Chiron. So I think
there you go.
Yeah, when I'm sick, I do get very existential and I question everything about me. I get like very it's like I don't like myself, like I think about myself and I cringe. I'm like, oh no, am I doing the right thing with this? Oh no, I'm such a bad person.
Yeah. And I was trying to explain to Philip what was happening, and he was like, well, just don't listen to them. And someone in my head went, well, that's stupid. They are me, right? Like how do I couldn't get the words out. I couldn't explain what was happening. I just knew I was scared of what was inside of my own head. And this is where I feel this is not the first time I've experienced this. And when I'm out of it, I'm able to articulate it a little bit. But this is where I feel I really connect well with my clients over the last 10, 12 years is I talk real openly about mental health and the scary shit, right? And the crazy thoughts. And people feel not alone, right? When I speak so openly about mental stuff and mental challenges and whatnot. And I just know that some people feel what I was feeling while I was ill. Some people feel that all the time, and I don't have a solution for them, but I just want them to know like they're not alone, right? Mental health challenges are no joke, and they can really take you out. And when your defenses are down, especially sleep, when you're not sleeping, man, just weird shit happens, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just trippy. So I think it's important to know, really, really know what Scorpio energy can be like and where it is in your chart. I think
Yeah.
that's real helpful because you might not go into those places when you're ill. You might go into those places in your work environment or what you're doing with your work, or maybe in your family with your children, right? A lot of moms have deep paranoia or fear of losing their kids or something, right? Well, let's look and see where Scorpio is. Might help, you know?
Yeah. And also to remember that, like you said, this is a part of me. And it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. Everyone has Scorpio and it's there for a reason. We cannot only be like love and light. We're not.
I would love to, but no.
Yeah. But no, the deep lessons we learn are usually not from that. It's from the like the shadow sides, or like the heavy things, when we face darkness. And but I went through a depression when Pluto went over my moon, and
Oh,
then
I
my
understand.
ascendant. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was also like sort of right after my Saturn return. So it was like
Girl, you got like
uh,
boom, boom, boom.
but I got hit from all sides. And I remember feeling crazy.
Yeah.
I will remember feeling scared because I felt crazy because I didn't know what this was. And then when someone told me that, oh, this sounds like you're depressed, that was sort of like a light, because I was like, okay, I know that people come out of depression. So also like remembering that you're not going to be in this forever. Things go up and down. Everything has an end.
Yep.
And even if you feel dark and really dense, you are still light. There
Yeah.
is still light inside of you. You just have to sort of find it. And when we feel bad like that, also we panic, and that brings us further into the darkness.
It was
Sort
the
of.
panic that was getting me.
Mm.
Absolutely 100% the panic. And my husband was like, Laura, you're in bed. You are safe. I'm right here. It's okay. Right. He was just telling me facts. He was like, you're
Yeah,
getting lost in your stories. Here's the fact. The fact is you're laying in bed with me, right? The baby's
exactly.
sleeping next to you. The kids are out doing the dishes, right? Whatever was happening. He was listing the facts. And
Yeah,
that I felt was really helpful. Like, and what is the reality, and what story am I swimming away in?
yeah. And sometimes your reality might be very scary at the moment,
Yeah.
but that moment will also pass. Like
Yeah.
things happen in life, but yeah, everything has an end.
Right? It does.
Mm.
So I watched a
Mm.
phenomenal documentary while I was sick, and it was called I Am. I think it came out in 2011. And the director of Ace Ventura movies, he did a bunch of other movies too. Cannot tell you his name right now. But he did kind of a soul searching documentary and wanted to know, like, what is the inherent issues in life, and what are the good things in life. And he was really kind of searching for, like, what's wrong with our human existence right now. Like, are we inherently wired for war or and greed, or what is this? It was an absolutely amazing documentary, and we actually had our kids watch it the next day for homeschool because it was so good. And I highly recommend it. We watched it on streaming on Gaia TV. And I'm not going to tell you the whole thing, but the result was, we are, like you said, both the dark and the light. That's what the whole like general concept is we are wired for, yes, to have some fight in us, and a little bit of healthy fight and a little bit of healthy greed. But when the greed gets to be too much, it becomes a mental health issue. But our society has basically put those mental health issues up on a pedestal, and it's encouraged to step on top of each other to reach to the top, when
Mm.
we are actually wired more for community. It's just that our society has been slowly teaching us to stand on top of the sick and the weak and the elderly, to strive for the top, you know, and one person living in a $5 billion mansion while across the street people are homeless and digging through the trash cans, right? That's an unhealthy society. And the whole documentary goes into exploring all of that. And it ends really, really well. I'm a happy ending kind of gal. And it's got a happy ending and a real positive message. And I highly, highly recommend it. It's called I Am. And I was just like, I'm still thinking about it, right? Like it's still swirling in my head. And you know it's a good movie when days and days later you're still thinking.
Yeah.
So that's my story. I don't know where I was going with that. I just thought it was a good documentary. Wanted to share.
But I think like after you're sick, you get very existential and you have these questions. And I was telling you before we hit record, like me and my boyfriend just came to the beach yesterday and went straight to sit in the sand in the moonlight and with the ocean there, and straight away all of these, you know, the big questions come, like the existential stuff. But and I was thinking a lot about Pluto as well, of course.
That's funny.
Because Pluto have just entered Aquarius.
Yep.
And what that means, and I feel like it's almost like this time right now is moving a little bit slower and a little bit denser, because there's like it's like there's a lot of importance to a lot of things happening right now and things repeating, and I feel like this is a time right now, like not this day, but like these couple of years, that is going to be written about a lot in the future.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, we have a whole episode about Pluto in Aquarius, but we should probably do another one soon.
I think so.
There's a lot to say. Yeah.
There is.
Pluto is about transformation, all of those things, and it's that heavy energy that you were talking about with Scorpio. It's similar to Scorpio.
So I'm going to show you something. I'm going to share my screen and show you something, because I know you mentioned it right before we jumped on. So there's a branch of astrology called astrocartography, and it is essentially maps of the energy of the planets. So essentially where the planets were, here's my understanding of it, where the planets were in their zodiac sign, and if you were to like follow their energetic path through the earth, right, when you were born, that's where that sun line would be, or that Mercury line would be, because that's the energy field and where it was headed, right? So I just pulled up yours, and I think it's funny.
This is me?
This is you. This is you. So
oh my God, I'm right on my Pluto line.
You're actually closer to your sun line, and so you've got Mercury, Sun, and Pluto are all like lines of energy going through Mexico, where near to where you are. So this is funny, because you said as soon as you got there, you got to the beach and you just started thinking and started having conversations and talking about existential things. And of course you would feel that way with these three planets energetically in that particular realm where you are right now. That's funny. Did I explain that
so
right?
Where am I exactly? Do you know?
So you are, I just
with
looked. You're right between your sun line and your Mercury line. You're right over here in the literally looking at the vastness of the ocean on the ocean side of Mexico.
Yeah. So this is really cool. I don't know much about astrocartography, but we're sort of like figuring this out as we're talking about this.
We are not astrocartography professionals. Do not think we are. This is us just taking our astrology knowledge and applying it to
exactly. But but do you know why it says like on my sun line, there's the sun line for me going straight through Mexico and sort of through Mexico City, I think, and but it says Sun and MC. Is it both my sun?
Yeah, it's Mercury. It's Mercury and MC, Sun and MC, Pluto and AC. I'm not sure on that one. I don't know on that one. We'll have to dig deeper into that realm. But yeah, so now I just zoomed in a little bit more. pretty much
Oh,
right
I
where you.
think I am I am right in my sun. I am exactly on my sun line, pretty much. Like I am a couple, maybe I'm like 20 kilometers from my sun line.
That's fine.
But so I would, when I see that I'm where my sun is, I'm like, oh, it's my center, it's myself, and I feel very calm here where I am right now, and very much like I am just very much myself, and I'm having these very like thoughts that is my identity. It's very much about my identity, and I'm thinking
Really?
about, yeah,
Like, give me a for instance.
like these thoughts that are coming up that I was sitting with yesterday, existential and like about my life and my future. It it's like those thoughts, and they were like nice thoughts. I wasn't judging myself or anything like that.
Right.
It was very much like I was looking at myself in the mirror and like, oh, this is what you're doing, and this is where you could go if you want to. Okay, I see it. It's like I see everything clearer. It's like I
Okay.
can see my identity clearer here. And that would make sense since I am in my identity line, my sun line.
Yeah. Okay. So I have zero desire to go to Mexico City. Uh, this is
Your Chiron.
this is my Chiron is right
Yeah.
there. It nearly goes right through it. That's so interesting. I have very much felt like I have been uh for lack of a better description, killed there before. I've been there and I've been dead there. Like not an I was unalived in a very not good way. And I have
Mm.
like zero desire to go back there. I'll go to other countries, all kinds of other stuff. I don't want to go there like consciously. There's this
Yeah.
like, nope, not there. Right?
Yeah, you
It's
have Chiron and Pluto going through Mexico, and that's all, like no other planets or anything. Just
yeah,
those two very heavy,
yeah,
and Uranus on the very end of Yucatan. So,
yeah,
oh my God. Yeah, Pluto, Chiron, and Uranus. Like a
yeah.
very, very chaotic, dark, wounded place.
Yeah, I think I've been there a couple times, a couple
Mm.
lifetimes I've been there and it hasn't gone well. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna come back as a white girl or something. Like let's just try something else.
Mm.
Let's do it differently. So
Yeah.
astrocartography, I think, is fascinating. My husband was in the Air Force and he was stationed in Shreveport, Louisiana. And that is the line of Uranus goes through there. And Uranus is in my sixth house. And I had crazy, crazy health stuff when we lived in Shreveport, Louisiana. Crazy. We were there for 3 years. It was chaotic. It was completely unstable. My mental health was off the charts unstable. That's when we started acupuncture. That's when we started Chinese medicine practices. That's when we started marriage counseling and therapy right away when we were in our 20s. I was not a stable human being when I lived there. And then when I learned not too long ago about astrocartography, and I see that the planet of chaos goes through that flippin' town, for me personally, I was like, oh, that
Makes
makes
sense.
sense. Right. And then when I look at my home where I live now, I live right
Oh,
here.
goodness me.
And Venus is like not even a smidgy right next door. I think I was born on my Venus line, I'm pretty sure. So I was literally brought up. So when we started searching for land, I intuitively told my realtor right here. This is like between the thumb by Lake Michigan all the way down. I was like, it's got to be in this area. I don't care if it's north, I don't care if it's south, but it's got to be in this area. You guys, my Venus line goes right through there, like right
Yes.
through there. And
This
I
is so
knew,
crazy.
isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
I knew. So I think this is absolutely fascinating because then
Yeah.
when you and I were playing last time with this couple, oh my gosh, it's like probably a year ago.
Years? Yeah.
You can put people together and you can see where your lines will cross. And Helena and I have a line that crosses in like the Italian Alps or something. So we're
Yeah.
gonna go there sometime together. We
That
don't
would be
know
so
why.
amazing.
just going there.
But yeah, and some people use astrocartography to like decide where to travel, where to spend their birthday. Just for fun, I was looking at my boyfriend's astrocartography, and he traveled to places last year. One place just him, and he decided this place himself, like he felt pulled to this place, and the other place was it was like sort of us going together, but he chose the town specifically, and it was Berlin and Athens. And his sun line goes through both of those cities.
Shut up. For real?
Yeah. His sunlight goes through Berlin and Athens, and those are the two places we traveled last year. And now this year, we're going to Mexico City, and this is where my sunlight goes through. So I guess we sort of know, like, and I was like, oh, he's going to go and find himself, you know, like go to your sunlight. Maybe we pull to these places. But if you used astrocartography, which like to I'm thinking about like how can you use it? Like the sunlight obviously is a good place to be around because you will be very connected with yourself.
Yep.
But and Venus, I think of course is a very, very nice
makes sense.
Go to the Venus line. It makes sense. But what else? Like would you want to go like
well, let's explore, shall we? Because I just pulled up. And if you guys want to see this, you can check out our YouTube. This will be up on YouTube. So this is me. My lines, and I was just zooming out and playing around. Well, my Mercury and my Neptune line cross each other in South America, in Brazil. And I feel like maybe that's a point where I would want to travel to for spiritual enlightenment, right? If to expand my mind spiritually, if I wanted to do a retreat or a find myself kind of thing, or you know, ayahuasca or whatever. I don't know what's here. I have no idea. It looks like the Amazon rainforest, actually. But that's where I would imagine if Mercury and Neptune are crossing each other, there'd be a lot of activity for mental expansion in the realms of spirituality or artistry or whatnot, right? Would that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And then when you look at where your moon and Uranus crossed there in Peru, maybe that's a place where you would be like, I might not have to go here because the moon emotional and then Uranus is like very sudden things with emotions happens. Like it could be, and this doesn't mean that it's like a scary bad place for you to go to, but you could probably expect to experience a lot of emotions and things
this is
hitting you from behind.
Because reading, I don't know, have you ever read the book The Celestine Prophecy? Have you ever heard of that?
No.
That was one of the first books my husband and I read that really opened our mind to alternative ways of thinking, right? Alternative spiritual concepts, alternative like manifestation, just kind of all of that. And it's set in that area of Peru right there where people go for these deep transformational experiences, right? And I think I read that book probably 20 years ago, if not more. And I've always had a pull towards that area. And now that I look at the astrocartography where my moon and Uranus cross, I'm like, you know, I've had such an interesting relationship with moon and Uranus because they're exactly opposite my chart at 4 degrees. And I feel like that's where I get really like intuitive hits and mental health breakdowns and understandings. And like, there's a lot of the mental health and emotional health issues. And I think if I were to have, for my Uranus return or opposition, maybe this is a place I need to travel to really like deeply explore myself or like get some answers or something. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah. I was sort of just, I was just talking about the bad things. I feel bad about that. No, yeah, of course, there's so
don't feel bad. You're the Capricorn of the group. That's your job.
Your job. But yeah, definitely getting like those like intuitive hits and like renew yourself emotionally. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you don't have to do what I did, which is look at the cartographer chart and be like, oh, don't go here. Because, for example, where my boyfriend is born is on my Pluto line.
that's the role he plays in your life, is helps you to do that transformational stuff.
Mm.
It is time for the collective. The Cosmic Mama Collective is here. I'm so excited. This is the membership I have been craving. This is for all you astro-curious mamas out there who want a better way to parent, who want to move forward with ease and with flow and with understanding. Come and share and grow and learn. I can't wait to have you. The Cosmic Mama Collective.
In this little break, I went out to talk to my boyfriend about this, trying to explain astrocartography. So it's pretty much like the world map. You put in your birth details. It shows you the world map and all of the different planets lines that goes through in different ways depending on your birth details.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And it's really fun to look at.
It's really fun to look at. I want to learn more about it. We'll have to find a astrocartography teacher, but for now it's just speculation because that's what we do. But yeah, mine, Rio de Janeiro seems to be an area, a hotspot area for me with Neptune and the sun. So I find that might be I don't know, maybe that'd be like a trippy place, or maybe if I went there.
That sounds very trippy.
Well, maybe it's like I keep feeling confusion. Maybe I'd feel confused there, right?
Well,
or
that's the thing. Like either with this combination, Sun and Neptune, you might feel either super confused about who you are because Neptune fogs everything up, and it will be fogging up your identity, or you will feel more intuitively, like intuitive hits about your identity and who you are. Like that's the other way.
Yeah. Or both.
Or both. You could, you probably like swing in between, like, who am I? Like, oh, yes, eureka. And then like, who am I?
So interesting. So interesting. Especially that where you are is on your sun line, because you don't have that in Europe. You're not.
No, can I?
I'm going to yours now. Hang on. Yep. I'm going to go to yours and we'll see where you're.
For those who want to see this and not just listen, you can go to our YouTube channel and you'll be able to watch these maps along with us.
Okay, so
I don't have as much going on in Europe. Well, I do, but it's mostly like just on one side.
Not anything in Stockholm. There's nothing.
Nothing in Stockholm. And I've never felt home.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Isn't that interesting? You've got quite a bit going on with Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn in northern Sweden and Norway, but I don't know if I want to go by any of those.
No, and then there's my sun line that goes sort of through like Russia, Finland, Estonia, Poland, and then also down through northern Italy, and I think that's where we're gonna meet. Oh, and my Jupiter and Sun meets in place just in the south of Munich, very, very north of Italy.
Yep.
This is really interesting. And what got me confused in the beginning when I started looking at the astrocartography is that, like, I see my sun line here, and if you would zoom out and see the whole world map, it's like the sun line bounces. Like it doesn't just go one way. It like bounces down to the and like the bottom of the map, and then it goes back up again. So it's very like seeing your own astro chart for the very first time. It's like,
so you went to Australia. You lived in Australia for a while.
Yeah, I lived in Melbourne, so I remember looking this up before and seeing like if something crossed. And there's nothing like exactly in Melbourne, but Saturn is pretty damn close. It was very saturated. Like I grew up and
Melbourne right in between your Saturn line and your Venus line, so that would make sense with the relationship stuff too.
Yeah, there was a lot, but there was a lot of relationship stuff sort of happening, a very active time. And whenever I think about living in Melbourne, I do think about it as a time of growing up, for sure.
Did you go up to Brisbane at all? Had you been in that area?
I did. I see now my Neptune line goes through there. I don't really remember. This was the first time I went to Australia. And it was a long
foggy and
time ago.
confusing, and I
It was
can't
foggy.
remember. Weird.
Oh, yeah.
That's
All I
funny.
remember, like I know that one time we were gonna go diving,
Okay.
and was it here? I think it was here, and I couldn't go. I got too panicked, and I think like there's like past life situations with water that is haunting. So maybe that came back. Not so sure.
I'm just looking at your Pluto
Yeah,
and Jupiter line crossing somewhere in the middle of China here on like the Tibetan plain, and
yeah.
where,
I
where
was in Myanmar. My Jupiter line goes to Myanmar, and I
yeah.
was there.
You were in Myanmar? Look at that.
And in Thailand.
Astrocartography is fun. It's just fun to just search around the map and see
I know.
what's going on.
Yeah, and like I love looking at the world map, and I love astrology, so this is like the perfect blend. But
Right.
so I know that some astrologers for their solar return, which is your birthday,
Mhm.
because on your birthday you get a solar chart for the coming year, and you can sort of see what's coming for the year ahead. Some astrologers look, I don't know if they use astrocartography, but they look around to like where to spend their birthday so they can have the best solar return chart like as possible.
That's fun.
So
I never even thought about that.
maybe like mathematical part of astrology, maybe you would count a little bit differently than just looking at your astrocartography. But
Yeah,
definitely like next time I go and decide where I should travel, I'm gonna look
I
at
am
my
too.
astrocartography map. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So where
haven't
would you
done
want to
it.
go if you would just look now? Like where would be the place?
I think I would want to follow my line of Venus. Just because I know how it feels like where I live right now, like it feels so good, right? It really
Mm,
feels good. So I feel like I'd want to find more parts or more points along the Venus line to see, I don't know, like what you can't really go wrong with Venus, you know?
yeah,
Jupiter,
yeah.
you can get a little, I think, optimistic, overly optimistic. Maybe you don't
Lose your wallet because you don't
yeah,
think
take the
about it.
risks into
Yeah,
consideration, right?
yeah,
Whereas Venus, it's just like you're doing it because it just feels good, right?
yeah. It's sort of like a very holding energy. If you're gonna like do like a business, something businessy wise, and you have a Venus line close to you, go there. Go there
Yeah,
and close the deal.
yeah. I think that's great. You have Saturn and Uranus conjunct each other, and they travel through Alaska. Have you gone to Alaska?
No,
Well,
I
if you
haven't.
do,
But
you're gonna grow up if you go there.
I actually, I that's a place that I think that it would be really cool to go to.
You'd have to be mature. I feel like that's what Saturn's asking you to do when you go to those places is be mature about it, right? Like
Mm,
you gotta plan accordingly and
mm.
have your ducks all in a row. Make sure
Yeah,
you've got your
yeah,
gear. Don't get
yeah.
eaten by bears.
Exactly. And I feel like with astrology and the world and everything, I don't think everything is predestined. Like totally, I think that we have our own choice and we're working with the energies. But also, like my boyfriend just said when I told him about that we've been traveling just along my sun line and his sun line for the past years, nothing is really a coincidence either. So whatever you choose will not be a coincidence. So like, why did I move to Melbourne when I moved away from my parents? It was not a coincidence that it was close to my Saturn line. Why
Right.
are we traveling along our sun lines? Like we know our intuition is telling us to go to these places.
So much.
Intuition is telling you to go to Pluto meets Uranus line or place, then
It's
that's what shall be
time to
done.
go.
Yeah.
It's interesting just to keep looking around and seeing like where, because there are people who are just drawn to certain areas of the world and they can't explain it. They cannot
Yes.
explain. I just have to move here. I don't know why. I just love the mountains. And they look for external stimulation and like, oh, I love the weather. I love the mountains. Well, yeah, that might be part of it. But I
Mm.
bet the astrocartography has a deeper part of it that is it's not something we're even introduced to as
Mm.
humans, right? Like you and I have been doing astrology for a while and we just learned about this not too long ago. So I
Mm.
feel like if this was taught to people, this would like help people to make decisions on where to live, where to go and, work and all of that.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's probably just like in your astro chart, you can see sort of past life links. I think in here, like you said about Mexico for you, this also can show you sort of past life connections.
Yeah.
Like, and that might be why you're drawn to certain places, either because you've spent a past life there, or it's somewhere you need to go to sort of level up, or something like that. Because
Just saw that
we're very drawn to different places.
my Jupiter line goes through Las Vegas. Should I go play the casinos in Vegas? See, now that tells me I've been to Vegas a couple times, and I've felt very much I don't want to go in, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't want to go in the casinos. I don't want to spend a lot of money because it feels like it could slip out of my hands really,
Oof. Yeah.
really. And Jupiter is just really ridiculously optimistic about its chances. And I don't want to do that in Vegas. No, thanks.
No.
Interesting.
Yes, this is so
So how long are
interesting.
you in Mexico for?
I'm here for a little bit over 2 weeks exactly, and now I'm almost in the middle of it. So I've been here pretty much a week. And it's just amazing.
And I bet your skin is enjoying the sunshine.
Yeah, well, I haven't, like, we've been to Mexico City and another town, and it's been like very cloudy and not so warm. So this will be the first day when my skin really meets the sun.
Nice.
My really like super pale winter Sweden skin.
Your Swedish skin is like, we're
Yeah.
not ready for this yet.
Blinding.
I know
Yeah.
that feeling well. So when you traveled, what's your take on traveling? Do you have any kind of like, I do this every time? Do you have your like set Capricorn way, or are you more fluid and flowing with your sun and Leo, or?
Yeah, when I travel, I'm very good at being flexible. Like then I'm really enjoying. So my identity, my sun comes out. I have Saturn and Uranus in Sagittarius. So yeah, it's about growing up when I travel.
Yep.
Because I am very flexible and I enjoy experiencing, and I'm enjoying the sort of adventure part, like not really knowing.
Yeah, I like that.
So
Not
no,
really
I'm not
knowing.
very Capricorn when I'm here.
No, that's phenomenal.
But like I
like
told
that.
you, I have a little bit of, yeah. Although I have a little bit of work FOMO.
That's all right. You can have some work
Mm.
FOMO.
Yeah.
I think that happened to me when I was sick too. I was really missing work, and I think it's because I just really like it. I really, really like what I do.
Yes.
You know,
it's fun.
So when you like what you do, I think it's a good thing when you miss it. Well, good. I'm glad. And traveling, I think, is such an interesting thing. My parents were big into traveling. My dad is a good Sagittarius man and really loves to go explore. And so he would always drag my mom along, and my mom would reluctantly go along. But she was so great at making sure, things were packed properly, and we had the snacks and the food and the blankets. Like she was really good with that foundational stuff. So they made a really good team traveling. I think she's getting tired of it now as she gets older, though. She just wants to be in her home and enjoy her home, right? Like, so I'm watching them, but my dad is like the eternal Sag man, and he's just, I want to go see this. I got to go see this. I got to go see this. And I was like, Dad, take me. I'll come. Mom can stay home. Her and Philip, the two Capricorns, can stay home, and you and I can go. I would love to go travel and explore. So
yeah.
Well,
I'm traveling with a very, very Taurian man, and we've been traveling quite a lot in our relationship, and it works. Like he's very good at making all the plans, and figuring out all of the details. And I'm sort of like the fun, flexible one that comes with good ideas sometimes. Yeah.
I'm super, super flexible with traveling. I'm very much a person who likes to get to the destination, wherever it is, and then like settle in and go, okay, now we're here. Now what should we do? Right. I don't like to plan the whole trip out. I just, number one, let's get there. Number two, let's relax. And number three, let's go explore. Right. I'm not a big one for, those group vacations where they have the itinerary and it's
no, I don't like that.
super planned out.
No.
Yeah. That does not work well for me.
No.
It's not that.
Like now we have no plans today, and that feels amazing.
Yes. I love no plans
Mhm.
because that's when you can just go explore. Hey, let's go walk down this beach and check out these caves or go pick shells or whatever. That's when you really are in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Instead of, well, at 2 o'clock, I have to do this. And then at 3 o'clock, we're doing that, right? Uh-uh.
Mm.
That would be fine for like maybe one day of the 2 weeks. For me, I'm very flexible and fluid with traveling, and the whole thing is the journey, right? The
Yeah.
whole
I feel like
experience.
we would be good traveling buddies.
Oh, you and me? Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I
I
can't
feel
wait
like
till we get there.
yeah, same. I feel like we would like wake up in the morning and say like, oh, maybe we should do this today, and then end up doing something totally different.
Totally
Yeah.
different because we followed our curiosity.
Yeah.
I think we would be really fun traveling buddies together, just knowing our charts and all of our fun conversations. We don't get our undies in a bundle too often,
No.
you know. It's just like, oh,
Mm-mm.
I guess we're exploring this now.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm super curious about more than anything with astrocartography and travel is traveling to more of those places, those, locations on those lines, and actually experiencing, okay, what does it feel like when I go someplace where my Neptune is? What does
Mm.
that feel like? Do I really want to just be in the flow and do some artistry? Maybe when I go on that trip, I find all of the local artisans and I go visit like the local glass shops or the local ceramic shops, or maybe I take a class on, whatever music or art thing, right? Maybe it's very flowy and arty, and
Mm.
that's that trip. Whereas if I go visit someplace with my Saturn line, like, ooh, what thing am I
What
gonna have
lessons
to
am I gonna
be?
learn?
Yeah, what mature thing am I gonna have to do here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe there's time delays where you travel with your Saturn line. I've already experienced Uranus. I
Mm.
got to live there for 3 years. That was more than enough. I don't ever really want to go back there. That was good.
Mm.
That we're,
Yeah.
we're good.
But like that's interesting because when I had so much fun in Melbourne as well, and maybe it's because like that was sort of in between Saturn and Venus that it gave me that blend. Because I really felt like I could live there. Like I really enjoyed being there. I was growing up, and Venus was sort of there. Like I'm very happy I came out from those years unscathed. Like
Yeah.
I would not want to tell my parents. I was not, I was wild. It was a wild couple of years, but Venus was sort of there to hold me while I was growing up so not harshly, but like strongly or
Yes.
something.
Well,
Yeah.
I think Saturn makes you learn those lessons, whether
Mm.
they're fun or not. You get those lessons, and a lot of times with Saturn energy, it's your own doing. You made the
Yeah.
stupid choice, you made the whatever choice, and then you have to pay the consequence, right?
Yeah.
That's that beauty of that growing up is usually Saturn's lessons come the hard way.
Exactly. But what we also have to remember is that when we do learn those lessons, it's not hard anymore. So Saturn
Right.
is not here to just punish you. No, no, it's here to guide you. And
Yep.
sometimes in harsher ways if you're not listening. Yeah.
Yes. And I was just talking to a client about this last night. I said, Saturn is like working out. At first, it really sucks, right? Like it's hard and your muscles ache. And the first week, you're like, oh my God. But then after the first week, you start to enjoy it. You start to go, all right, I'm feeling better. I'm getting stronger. Look, it doesn't hurt as much. And it becomes that routine you look forward to instead
Mm.
of the pain that you're dreading, right? You get stronger.
Yeah. The funny thing is with that story, because it's so true. Like if you go to the gym once and then it hurts a lot, and then you're like, no, I'm not gonna go back, or maybe I
I'm
will, and then
done.
you don't go back. You don't go back for like 2 weeks, it will hurt as much again. So like you
Exactly.
have to do those lessons, like be consistent with them and really do the work. Like keep going a couple of times a week and you're gonna feel amazing. Like it's the same with Saturn.
Same thing. I would be so curious to do astrocartography with family members.
Yes.
See like various family members. I do know our third child, our middle child, Guinevere, she lives on her Pluto line right now where we live. It's our Pluto line. So I'm curious to see if she's going to stay in this area because this is where her family is, and she's going to keep doing the transformations and the fight. And power struggles, or if she'll move to somewhere where it's like less challenging energetically. But I do see it, man. I see it with her, and I'm so curious to see what this 10-year-old chooses to do with her life and where she chooses
She's probably
to
going to
move.
move away at least for a couple of years, I would say.
I actually kind of would
Move out
encourage
quickly.
it for her. I would encourage her to move somewhere just to experience life off of that pressure, right? Pluto's pressure. And so experience what life can be like when you're not living on that kind of energetic pressure field. So I would love for her to move someplace that's a little bit easier for her.
Yeah.
But I would love for her to come back though too.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting to see. I know you and I have put ours together and see where the lines, you know, line up or meet up. I think family dynamics just plays such an interesting role. And I know your mom is from northern Finland, right?
Yep. No,
Well,
that's Sweden.
And that's where your Saturn line goes right through, right? So your mom's line is basically, or where she's from is where your Saturn line. So there's that maturity and that time connection, right?
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to kind of play with your parents and see where they are and just put all that stuff together. My brain loves that.
Yes. Same. I'm so intrigued. Like I'm having all these thoughts. Like I have to look this up. Have to look this up. Like I thought of my dad because I remember I think something went through the south of Finland, and that's where my dad is from. So dive into that.
Fascinating. Well, it's been so nice catching up with you today.
Same.
Our random reconnect podcast, and I'm actually pretty proud. So we didn't get an episode out last week because of our schedules and stuff, but I have to say we've done now more than 70 episodes, and that was our first week we missed putting one out. And I feel like good job us, right? I don't feel bad or anything. I'm proud of us for overcoming all of the obstacles of living on other sides of the world. And still being able to produce a podcast every week, and look at us get more than a year into it. Congrats to you.
Our second year. Yeah, it's well done us.
Well done us.
So next week, let's see what we talk about. I do want to talk about Pluto sometime soon again. So in the near future, maybe we can dive into that. Yeah,
we've got to get a couple guests coming up too. I do know that. My niece Franny is going to be coming on. She's a sweet little Aquarius. She's got like 4 planets in Aquarius, and she's turning 16 at the end of January. So we're gonna have Franny on and a couple other guests coming on here soon. We've got lots of ideas. I was actually looking at our idea board. It's impressive how much we have to talk about. I don't think we're gonna run out of topics anytime soon.
No, I don't think so.
We'll be good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate it. And it's so nice to see you again, Helena. And I hope you have
you too.
A lovely rest of your trip.
I'll see you next week.
All right. Talk to you later, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of RamGoatAstrology. You can support the show by buying us a coffee or a tea. Link in the show notes. Your financial support means the world to us. Join us next time.